Hello, you must still remember the saying, Lamien drums are the best, and the next are Phuoc gongs from our previous edition in August. This saying doesn't compare the position of the two products, but is praising the quality and prestige of long-existed craft villages in Quang. If you were impressed by the drums before, let's discover more about the gongs casted in Phuoc village, Điện Phương commune, Điện Bàn town, in this episode of Quang Today. The village has a history dating back to the 17th century, when Lord Nguyễn Hoàng put his kingdom on the land of Thân Chim in the former Điện Bàn chief town. With over 400 years experiencing many ups and downs, generations of artisans of Phuoc copper casting village still keep the flame of this traditional profession. Mr. Yu Ngọc Sang is considered the oldest craftsman of Phuoc casting village. Despite being more than 80 years old, he still looks very healthy. Having been sticking with the craft since the age of 14, going through the rise and fall of the village, Mr. Sang always retained the endless passion for his job. Mr. Sang once commanded the successful casting of a 750-kilogram gong with a diameter of 2.5 meter for Gia province. This gong is not only bulky in terms of size, but more importantly, it has a very standard sound bar. Mr. Sang sees this as a treasure in his career. The fathers of this craft were from Thanh Hóa province. On the way to the south, one chose to stay in Huế and the other one settled in our place to open the land. He and his apprentices became the predecessors here. Every year, on the 12th of lunar January, the villagers of Phuoc celebrate the anniversary of the village in order to acknowledge the merits of the progenitor Dương Không Lộ, who is the father of copper casting craft, and the predecessors who followed Lô Nguyễn to open this land and brought along the craft to teach the villagers. Therefore, today most of the artisans in Phuoc foundries are from the Yung family. Products of the village in the early states mainly served for guns, ammunition casting, and ritual activities such as worshipping light urns, bells, and gongs. Under Nguyễn dynasty, many artisans of the village were called to Phuoc to cast the 9 tripod cauldrons, pots, guns, and even seals. Some artisans were nominated as captain bureaucrats like Yu Ngọc Thuyên, Trần Tạo, Trần Diêm. During the time coming to Phuoc for copper casting, the predecessors of Phuoc integrated with Huế foundry to work on the job. They got married and created the great clans who followed the profession here. Phuoc casting village is famous for the craftsmanship of the artisans and the handmade processes with very fine carvings, especially the alloying secrets for the production of copper, brass, or bronze. At its flourishing time, the village has about 30 households, foundries, with 200 workers and 10 craftsmen who always keep the village on fire all year round. During its formation and development, Phuoc copper casting village has shaped its own style and is famous for the gong molding. Two secrets that make up the originality and brand of the gong molding are the know-how of the alloying phase and the sound-feeling skill of the artisans. If the technique of alloying is the secret of each household, the sound-feeling skill is the talent of each artisan, which is only formed through practicing, experience, and aptitude. The sensitive ears, the deep understanding of the music from different regions, together with the experience of processing, have helped these craftsmen produce gong products which are suitable for each ethnic minority area throughout the Central and Central Highlands. And this musical instrument is highly appreciated by customers everywhere. One of the most outstanding characteristics of Phuoc casting village is that it produces acoustic instruments, including the main items such as gongs, temple bells, church bells. The talented artist Yu Ngọc Tiễn spent much of his time devoting himself to the Central Highlands hamlets to learn and study about the gong music here. He discovered that from many generations ago, The gongs of Phuoc were present here and kept by the people for a very long time. His research has been demonstrated in workshops on preserving the cultural heritage of Central Highland gongs presided by late Professor Trần Văn Khê. When the intangible heritage of Central Highland gongs is threatened by the phenomenon of artifacts drain and the lack of instrumental users, Mr. Dinh Ngọc Tiễn once again built a bridge connecting Phuoc with the Central Highland gong space. He brought the gong products and the technique of sound feeling to teach back to instrument users in many villages here. Thus, Phuoc Casting Village has made an important contribution to the cultural space of Central Highland gongs, the cultural heritage of humanity. Through surveys, studies, and statistics, we supply about 3/4 of our products to the areas along Trường Sơn Mountain, or the Central Highland gong cultural space. This is an enormous quantity. After the successful period of gong casting industry, the Phuoc copper casting village fell into a period of decline when the market for gongs was saturated. More than 50% of the foundries must turn off the fire. Many craftsmen have to leave the village to earn a living. Finding a new direction for the village is a dilemma. Responsibility to recover the tradition is now put upon the shoulder of senior craftsmen and enthusiasts such as Mr. Dương Ngọc Sang, Mr. Dương Ngọc Tiễn, Mr. Dương Ngọc Thắng, and a class of young workers. Besides maintaining the traditional gong casting craft, artisans of the village have boldly researched and produced products that have been long forgotten, such as bells, worshipping items, Buddhist statues, or elaborate handmade products that are up to tons of weight. In 2007, the first 600-kilogram bronze bell successfully cast opened a new way for the village. So in 2010, Phuoc Copper Casting Village made a bell weighing 1 ton with a height of 2.1 meter and the diameter of 1 meter for Hanoi on the anniversary of the Millennium Thăng Long. Therefore, Phuoc bronze bells not only succeeded in following the forefathers' profession, but also gained a firm foothold in the bronze casting industry of the country. We want to pass on the technique and technology of bell casting. In general, the sound of Phuoc bells is not inferior to that of other localities. However, since the young generation started to receive the vocation, we have applied the technical processes and the 3D technology to make the sound more sonorous and beautiful. At the same time, patterns and paintings on the bells are more sophisticated. Currently, our bells are widely favored by customers from many places. Many localities in the country have come to the village and the Phuoc casters for delicate masterpiece and standard sound quality. With the exquisite bronze casting technique and the talent of a Phuoc artist, Mr. Dương Ngọc Thắng has chosen another direction, thus interior and exterior decoration items, serving for high-end tourism and resorts works and projects. They are large bronze castings such as bronze drums, fountains, sand watches, or Buddhist huge bells. Each work usually weighs a few tons of aluminum or copper. After finishing the product, the mold was also destroyed to protect the singleness and the know-how of the village. Currently, there are only a few craftsmen left in the village, but most of them are old. So to keep the fire for the craft, many foundries have paid attention to the vocational training for the younger generation. The task of transferring the profession is not simple because in addition to the secrets and technique, it is important that the workers must have the passion for the job. As a descendant in the village, together with the passion for this job, I followed the vocational training. I do the stage of sculpturing, shaping, molding for the copper casting, so my skills develop quite quickly thanks to the wholehearted teaching of older artisans in the village. with a contribution to revive the village, to pass on the know-how of the craft, and to give birth to the unique bronze casting products that bring about the fame for Phuoc Kieu. Mr. Dương Ngọc Tiễn, Dương Ngọc Thắng was in turn nominated as elite artisans. This is an honor for the whole casting community in Điện Phương Commune. Although Phuoc Kieu copper casting village has gained footholds and echoes, the whole village now has only about 10 households with frequent operation and only a few craftsmen who are pursuing their careers. These are relative modest numbers compared to over 400 years history of the village. Therefore, maintaining the profession is a long way ahead. Nevertheless, inhabitants of Phuoc Kieu copper casting village always believed that the flame of the craft would never stop here. It's time for us to say goodbye now. Please find more stories of Quang on the website qrt.vn. Thank you for being our companion and see you in the next episode.